district cooling system, super efficient, high-tech, and with lots of benefits from an energy consumption perspective, but it needed kind of a regulatory approach at the beginning. And there are many examples on higher levels. I don't only say how is the statistics at the moment, but if I recall correctly, with all the drive into thinking about green building in the first place, still probably 70 or 80% of the typical developer thinks about first cost in a building, right? So there is conviction by many tenants coming along the way that they embrace the green building idea, but there is more to it that makes this transition happen, and that needs the regulator to step in and provide the environment, mandating what is necessary in order for it to happen.
If I can just add to that, and combine with your first question, when we look at sort of the digital revolution, and quite a few years ago, there was a huge panic. If you didn't have a digital strategy in your company or in your industry, there was a huge level of uncomfortableness. Today, you need a sustainable strategy in your organization. And really having that in place and see where are these sort of the bang for the bucks to sort of not just work in silo, but bring that all together and connect it all together within your industry. That requires a culture within your organization, that requires the right mindset to really capitalize on that. And then beyond that, you try and synergize your sustainable strategy with the government policies and the government strategies and the government incentives. But if you don't have the first stuff in place, it's really hard to sort of capitalize on the sort of government incentives. And the encouragement is you use those incentives, but also work in a collaborative manner. There will be many. We work with our competitors at times because we know our single investment will not get us there. And we both have the same problem statement. And we jointly invest, and we jointly develop the IP, and we take the IP and use it the way we want. So there has to be sort of the framework and the ecosystem that allows you to have the government conversations and to be able to have the infrastructure for rapid prototype and development that I sort of mentioned earlier on, and we engage with A-Star on that platform.
I guess just also building on public-private partnerships, integrated delivery process or integrated design process. P3s having a 30-year, operate, maintain, and then hand over have really driven quality within the institutional sector. I look as policy is often the lowest hanging fruit. I look at it as building codes. If we're hitting building codes, we're not doing much. And because it is a process of coming up with something that everybody agrees to. And it's very hard to drive business that way. So that's one piece. I think also that right now Urban Green, which is actually the Green Building Council of New York City, because they decided they were like a country. But what is amazing is they reached out to a number of us through the World Green Building Council, and we got London, Toronto, and Singapore, and New York signed up on carbon trading schemes. So that was meeting with mayors, so getting politicians and convincing them that they're going to look good, and also allowing so that in New York, where the dirty secret is they're on a nuclear power plant that's coming to end of life, and also a predominance of the buildings in Manhattan are owned by single developers. Not the Relateds, not the Silversteins, not the Tishmans. They are owned by single families. So this gives big developers incentives if they partner to help B and C class buildings get to the level of sustainability that we need. So that kind of partnership piece to me is critical. And I think, once again, the investment climate has changed. ESG reporting and how people look and how they're judged in terms of their investment portfolios is changing, and that's where I think we'll see rapid transformation.
Thank you. There are a few questions here on, for a country like Singapore where our population is decreasing or stable, why do we continue to build so much more? So it's a question of overconsumption in some ways. And there are other questions that relate to circular economy. So the principles of circular economy and overconsumption, how do they square off, and what does it mean for the built environment sector over the next decade? I think that's how I pulled some of these together.
Maybe if I can start from the manufacturing optics. 20% of Singapore's GDP comes from high-value manufacturing. It is a key part of Singapore's GDP growth and continues to be in the years to come. look at our CFE future economy strategy and the industrial transformation maps, it is about really putting businesses and industries with the right equipment and the right tools to be able to deliver for the future. And people plays a big part in that. Now, we're going into automation and robotics, and we're going into more high-value manufacturing. We're embracing manufacturing as a service. We're embracing products and services coming together under one sort of umbrella. And so the skill sets are going to change. People are going to change. Their roles are going to change. We may not need as many specialist technicians tomorrow as we do today. So that's the manufacturing will continue to be a big part. The built environment for those manufacturing purposes, for 24 hours light facilities, lights out type facilities, that is the kind of area that we're morphing into. And the roles of people will be less, perhaps I use that very candidly, but it will be changed and morphed with more upskilling and different skill sets. So the two fit in together, but the built environment definitely has a role to play in that manufacturing space.
We like our stuff. Everybody likes their stuff. And it's problematic. So it's doing the equation, thinking about from extraction to then also end of life and disposal. And I'm not just talking about one-time use plastics. It's lithium in cell phones. We have right now a fascination and a need for lithium beyond requirements that were never ever assumed. So I think that it's having the mindset, and we have the data. 8-year-olds could do the calculation, adding up that equation from extraction through end of life and disposal. And I think that that's the way we have to think. And the circular economy piece, which is an amazing piece, and also it then drives forward. I always thought wearing natural materials was the only way to go. Never thought about cotton fields and who actually takes care of cotton fields and how much water cotton fields take. And recognition then that nylon can last 15 years and be recycled 5 times. Never thought about that. So, that circular economy piece, there's a whole different way of thinking, which is very different because we have all been raised as super consumers. So we have to change our mindset and actually re-educate ourselves on how materials are manufactured. And it is disclosure around how things are and what actually are the impacts.
I would add that the question about why do we still build that much and what does that mean? Let's be clear that we can't afford to be complacent. There's a competition with regard to where the future manufacturing is going to be located, where the future service industry is going to be located. And as Singapore, we have to constantly adapt in order to be at the forefront as we have been in the past. And there are new challenges and opportunities for us. Thinking about the circular economy, just think about all the awareness that we have now about plastic and e-waste. So what can we intelligently do about it in using the most state-of-the-art waste-to-value technologies? So a new generation of incinerators, for example, that are very sustainable in the way they operate, where they're energy efficient. Can we actually turn what seems to be an environmental challenge into an advantage in investing in those technologies and produce biofuels out of it, for example? So there are fascinating opportunities as we embrace technology and as we embrace the changes in consumer behaviors to take advantage of it and again sustain this very competitive position that Singapore had enjoyed over decades.
Thank you. I'm just reflecting a little bit about the role of certifications. I know as a university, we are really proud of going for green mark in all our buildings. Pushing for net zero in our new buildings. If you think about this, do these certifications really drive change? Or is this a way of reputation building in some ways? Or is this for new buildings, or is it for sort of the old stock? How do you refurbish old stock? I'm just trying to think about how do certifications drive innovation, and does that create value for society in a way that's positive and permanent?
I guess I should start since most of our 70 countries have a form of rating tool. So similarly, as human beings, we like competition, we like brands, we like to be shown as good, and I think the, when you get, a green mark platinum, or if you get a LEED platinum that then becomes a LEED EBOM, existing buildings, operations, and maintenance. So you're showing a level of sustainability during operations over a period of time, that it means something. The third-party verification piece is massive. We know that tenants want to know that they're in healthy buildings. They like the labels. They like well. They like living. They like so many of the drivers that way. So I think it's important, one, to be able to third-party verify. Two, that it actually sets a standard. And as I said, when we talked about policy, this is driving policy levels much higher. And I think it is absolutely impacting the quality of buildings. The retrofit market is massive. And a lot of our sponsors and some of the money, the funding that we get for some of our work in the Better Places for People and Net Zero Carbon come from organizations like Children's Investment Foundation Fund, interested in embodying carbon, but also World Research Institute looking at building efficiency accelerator, affecting policy in Mexico and Colombia right now, where governments have been formed on anti-corruption. So, but they are driving, they like third-party verification because it means something. So I think it sets us beyond the status quo and it just being talk. So I do think they're important for that.
And if I can add, I think healthy competition is always a good thing. Engineers love challenges, and it's about shifting the mindset. So within our organization, 6 years ago, we introduced what's called a bronze, silver, and gold award, and it's all located site-specific and facility-specific. Bronze mainly in the area that you're now starting to recycle paper and so on, and gold is that you've really embraced the sort of circular economy and sort of reusing and not using plastics. So you do this to change the mindset. But the end goal is not to get that award and sort of just stop there. It's to sort of emphasize that the values, our shareholder values are very much around the sustainability agenda. Our people values and our sort of company culture has to be around the same initiative as well. So once you've shifted the mindset, it just becomes a state of being. Sustainability is not just something you do in one location. You go home, you experience it, and actually the number of conversations that we have now within our office space is huge. And people are bringing, this is what my kids are doing, this is what my sort of father is doing, and all of that story just needs to come in, just need to embrace it, and the end goal is that it's not a target anymore, we're just naturally there, and that's